Hey guys, welcome back to Being Extra. Today I'm joined by my good friend and co-host of the show, Luis. How are you doing, Luis?
Good to see you, man. I'm hanging in there, man. I'm keeping busy.
He's been a stand-in and an extra for about 3 years. He's been in shows like Stranger Things and movies like Stuber. It's good to see you, man. How are you doing in this quarantine?
I was gonna say I've been so just for like the money aspect, I've been doing like side gigs that I've been doing. So money's been good. But for like when I have free time, it's you can't go outside or see friends or go
Right, right.
anywhere. So I have been watching movies, watching shows, playing video games, been streaming, trying to see if I can get into streaming games. And exercise. Oh, a lot of yard work too. Um, so a bunch of stuff that like you always tell yourself that you want to do, but you never have time to, and there's so much time now.
Yeah, dude. No, I understand. There's no excuse for saying, "Oh, I don't have time to do it," right?
Yeah, now if you're not doing it, you're just being lazy.
That's good, man. Well, once again, I'm gonna tell you guys can follow Luis at Luis207. This guy is an amazing photographer as well as an actor. By his pictures out of this world, your pictures are for sale as well, right?
On my Instagram, you can hit me up if you're interested in any photos. I can have them all printed and sent, emailed or I mean not emailed, mailed to you.
That's good, man. Yeah, no, this guy's a good photographer. As soon as quarantine's over, I'm back to work. I'm gonna buy some prints off of him. But he takes these crazy shots from like the top of skyscrapers. I think that's awesome what you're doing, man. Well, what would you call it? Like guerrilla shooting, like going out and
It's called like urbex rooftopping, but I mean that's just I just like exploring and going places. So I've also been traveling a lot. So some of my more recent stuff was from San Francisco in January, which was just before all this stuff hit. So I was like, I went up there in the perfect time before shit hit the fan.
wow, you barely missed it, dude, huh?
Yeah, I didn't even know it was gonna get like this. But yeah, I got one trip in at the beginning of the year before before we got quarantined.
Dude, that's good. That's good because I hear in different parts of the world people are stuck.
That would not have been fun if I was stuck in San Francisco.
I mean, it could have. Well, no, it's the highest rent in the world right now, San Francisco.
And I was at Airbnb, so it would have had to have been like, yeah, are you gonna let me stay here or what?
You would have to find a job at San Francisco while you were stuck there.
Yeah, I probably would have had to.
Oh, dude, that's good, man. But I'm glad you still have your photography. You're still working. You're still doing things. I'm happy for you, man. What are you watching or what are you playing during this quarantine?
So for shows, I've been watching. I'm sure you've heard of it. Money Heist, La Casa del Papel.
La Casa del Papel. Yes.
They just came out with season four. And perfect timing. I love all the characters. It's such a good show. Um, I just love it. So I'm catching up on that, watching that. I've been hearing a lot about this movie platform on Netflix that I might try watching. Um, so that's good. And then I have HBO, so I also knocked out all of the latest season of Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Oh, nice.
Well, yeah, I love Larry David is hilarious in my book.
I like Larry David, man. He's very funny. Uh,
Yeah, I think
dude. So what streaming services do you have right now? Like, what are you working with? I only have two. I only have.
I have HBO and Netflix. I unfortunately don't have Hulu, um, but I should probably get it because I really also want to get into. I already did start watching it a little bit because I had a free trial for Hulu. But Brooklyn Nine-Nine, I'm really into comedies, that type of stuff. So uh, that's I've heard that show. That show is hilarious. So it's similar to other shows that I really like Parks and Recs and The Office.
Oh yeah, Brooklyn Nine-Nine is a recommendation from me as well. That is funny. Hulu, it wasn't the best when it started, but I think it's getting better. It's getting more competitive with in
Yeah,
the
they have some
streaming
really good
wars.
stuff.
Have you heard of Quibi?
Yes, I've started. I think right before. we shut down. We shot for a show for Quibi with Kevin Hart.
That's right. I did a day on that. You're right. We did do. I don't know the name of the show, but were we there the
Yeah.
same day, or you were there a different day?
What was your scene?
We were. Oh no, I can't say. I can't
Oh,
say
okay,
that.
right.
Okay, but it was with Kevin Hart, so we were in the same show. Let's just leave it at that.
Yeah.
I can't spoil it. Okay, but does Squibby interest you? That's my question.
It kind of does, honestly, because I feel like as I've gotten older and like we have more stuff, more responsibilities, I find my attention span is harder to keep. So now I've recently been gravitating towards shows that are 20, 30 minutes instead of the 40, 50, because I can't seem to, keep my attention span for the whole time. Or if I can, I will like only watch like one episode and then be like, okay, I'm done. So the whole theory of having 15 minutes per show or something actually kind of does interest me because I could like watch some shows in 15 minutes and then like go do something else.
Yeah, man, and the whole thing about Quibi is that it cannot be played on the TV, just on your phone. Do you like that aspect of Quibi?
I don't know how I feel about that. I do watch shows. I do have Netflix on my phone, but I only usually watch it when we're on set. And I don't like love it, but I don't hate it. So I mean, if that's how Quibi's gonna be, then I guess I can get down with it.
Yeah, it was
Uh,
it was meant for that. It was meant for like commutes, waiting on a bus, waiting
yeah,
for at a restaurant.
yeah, that's what I've heard. So I have one of the bigger iPhones, so I think it's a pretty good screen size.
That's good, man. Yeah, and that's the first streaming service that has technology that everything was shot vertically. So that's the whole innovative thing. So I think that's cool, man. But yeah, it's worth the watch. We'll see if we get into it. It's just another streaming service to add on top of everything, right?
Yeah, and then they're doing the nice generous 90-day free trial. So I'm like, I'm definitely gonna get on that.
Yeah, you know what? 90 days. Let's do it. Let's. I'm saying right now, we download it and we come back and say what our favorite shows on there were.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea.
90 days. Yeah, but the way I am, even if it's a year, I forget to take up the subscriptions.
Yeah, that's why they do that for people like you.
I I have a lot of subscriptions that I forget to take off. That's how they get me.
I never forget. But if I do like it, then I'll keep it. But yeah, no, I don't. I do not forget. If I don't plan to use it afterwards, I'm like, I definitely unsubscribe.
So speaking about quarantine, our industry, the film and TV industry, has been impacted as one of the most impacted out there, like out of jobs. Do you think it's gonna bounce back shortly, or is it gonna take a while to get back on its feet? What do you think about it?
I think it's gonna take a minute. We're hearing all these crazy ranges, but these aren't any definitive ranges at all. So, and they keep changing like every other week. I see news. So I just think nobody, even like the top executives, know. So there's all these predictions don't really matter that much if no one actually knows what's going to happen. So um, I'm hearing like August, September.
Really?
Yes, is what I'm hearing. Because I know all these companies, film companies, have to get everything started back up, and also because of the corona, we have to, or COVID-19, we have to figure out how to change how we used to do things, uh, you know, procedurally, or
Yeah,
there's just a lot of people on sets, and we got to figure out how to work around that.
that's true, man. Yeah, when the year started, no one imagined this was gonna happen, and I remember I was on the resident when we got the news, guys, we're not coming back, and they said 2 weeks. That 2 weeks turned into a month. What set were you on when you got the news?
I was on this a Netflix movie called Red Notice that's was supposed to come out later this year, with Dwayne and Gal Gadot and Ryan Reynolds.
Yes.
Um, so yeah, we were doing we were doing like a 3-day, well, really 4-day stints, um, And then like the very last day, they were like, "Yeah, we're actually not gonna." I mean, during the middle of the week, we were already hearing news about things shutting down for 2 weeks, and then we were just like, "Oh, I guess we're just waiting to hear from these guys," and they, waited till the end of the week to be like, "Okay, we're actually not coming back after today." Um, so yeah, it was like, wow, this is once it finally hit home, I was like, okay, this is actually impacting me. So now I believe it.
Yeah, man. When I remember for 2 weeks, I'm like, oh my God, 2 weeks. But I was dumb enough that I said that I believed the 2 weeks.
Yeah,
I didn't look for a job right away. I was like, in 2 weeks I'll be back.
yeah.
No.
So just getting serious, I was doing research, and I knew that it was gonna not be 2 weeks. I was like month at the minimum. At the time, I was like a month minimum, and then once the 2 weeks happened, I was like 2 months minimum, maybe even three now. So I've kind of been keeping track of it, and I was like, yeah, all this stuff they're saying, I know for a fact it's not going to happen. So I was already like in the mindset of like, yeah, we're going to be out of this for a couple months for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And do you think after we all get back from quarantine that it's gonna change how we work, like the number of people that are allowed to work? Do you think cattle calls will be eliminated?
Absolutely. Like I said, I've been reading stuff on it, and it seems like they're going to lean to having less extras. I saw um, a post, I think like yesterday, that was saying they were thinking about maybe green screening extras into the back just because they didn't want to have any more people. But I mean, that's like very expensive. So it's like it's an option, but it's a very expensive option. But given the circumstances, they might either like we might have to do this just because we have to.
That's true. Have you ever been green screened before to be multiplied?
I think I have. I've been in like little machine where they take your pictures from every side. So I guess that technically yes, but I've never like seen myself like multiplied. But I mean, yeah, my image is definitely like out in a show or in a movie, and I don't know if they used it, but yeah, for sure.
Yeah, man. I'll give you a quick example when it happened to me. Avengers Endgame. It was about 100 of us, and they'll put us in green screen doing different actions, and we got multiplied times like 1,000. And I'm like, that's amazing. That's what's gonna happen after this quarantine, because you're not gonna have concert scenes full of background anymore. Where we are, is it expensable, the word?
Yeah.
Expandable. Sorry, we are expandable. So you're right. I believe you. I feel like they might green screen more extras or do scenes with less extras. They might write for the next couple of years scenes with way less extras now.
I think if they do have extras, it's gonna be cut down like a lot, like substantially.
Yeah, man. That's crazy. What is the biggest thing you've been a part of? Like, multiple people. What's the biggest TV show, movie, whatever that you have been a part of?
So I've been on this show a couple times. I was on Fox that got canceled, but that I'm sure everyone in Atlanta has been a part of at least once. Called Star. So that was a show where
Yeah.
they would do a lot of live performances, and they needed a ton of audiences like all the time. And I think like one of the season finales was we were in the Tabernacle, and they literally packed out the Tabernacle. It was like 400 to 500, 600 people. Um, so that was a lot. But now, actually, um, I forgot of something else. Actually, so we were also last year we were in the movie Richard Jewell, where we were in the Olympics.
The 96 bombings.
So we were there for that. So they had to fill up the park with a bunch of people, and that actually, now that I think about it, that was probably closer to 800 to 900 people. So that's the biggest
Wow.
we've ever done. And that was that. I think that was also like 2 weeks of like overnights.
Oh my God, 2 weeks with
Yeah,
900 people every time, every night, 900 people?
yeah. Well, yeah, like seven to 900 people. Yes, every night.
Dude, that's crazy. How many PAs were there to manage you guys?
anywhere from 15 to 20 just PAs.
So what was the costume and hair process like for that? Because that's in the 90s, correct?
That was crazy. It was the same night, so the first couple nights was kind of crazy, but when everyone, we had to come matching every single night. So, you know, after the first couple of days, everyone would come already pretty much ready, and they'd be like, "Okay, yeah, you're good, you're good, you're good." So it started moving, but it was, yeah, the first day or two was pretty hectic for sure.
Damn, dude. That's crazy, man. So did you have to bring your own clothes or did they dress you because of the 90s time
Yeah,
period?
they had us do a fitting before. They had, I think mostly everyone have a fitting, so they're like, yeah, if you have um 90s clothes, bring it, and then we'll see what we can work with. But then they would give us some stuff. Um, but I think a lot of people wanted to have their own clothes so they could just like check out faster. So I think a lot of people brought their own stuff, but there was definitely a lot of wardrobe that was used. The tent was like massive for the wardrobe, and it definitely took like 2 or 3 hours just to get the extras ready.
Do you think the hair and wardrobe people were frustrated doing
Uh,
900 extras?
they didn't seem like it. I think they took it pretty well, but yeah, it must have been overwhelming sometimes.
That's crazy, dude. I wanted to ask you. So you told me you started about 3 years ago. What was your first extra job or your extra gig?
Okay, so this is a whole story. So I started doing it kind of as like a kind of full time like 3 years ago.
Hmm.
But like in 2014, I think I got cast as an extra for this movie called "What to Expect When You're Expecting." This was like a long time ago, and that was the first time I ever actually did extra work. But it was just one day, and I was supposed to be featured, but I never did. And then I just never did it again. I went back to my regular job, and then think about it for like 2 years, 2 or 3 years, till like 2017, and then
Wow.
randomly what happened was I had quit my job at the time, and I was looking for a job for like 2 or 3 months, and I hadn't submitted or anything, but that same casting company that casted me like 3 years ago emailed me about being an extra on another on a show that they were filming at the time in 2017. And I was like, I didn't apply for anything, so I was like, why am I? And then I didn't get anything from them before until this like exact time. Like I had not heard from them literally for like 2 years. And then they hit me up, and I was like, well, obviously I don't have a job right now, so I'm gonna just go ahead and do that. And then when I got on set, the movie they were filming was
I hate you give.
so they cast me as a high school student in that. And then when I went over there, I started asking all the extras like, "Oh, do you guys do this like all the time? Like, can you tell me how to get more of this work?" And they were really nice, and they did. They gave me like 4 or 5 different casting companies, and then literally I got booked nonstop from at that time. I think it was like August, and I got booked from August all the way to the end of the year, like almost constantly, Monday through Friday, for like for those months. And I was like, at the end of the year, I was like, I think I can do this full time because I literally just got booked for the last 3 months.
So right there and then you switched to full time.
I definitely was like, I think I'm going to do this full time. And then at the time, I didn't know that the movie industry has lulls, ups and downs. So what I had experienced was an up, and then I think like January, February of that year was kind of slow. So I was like, oh, did I make the right decision? But then I found out that yeah, sometimes there's a lot of filming and sometimes there isn't. And then I ended up getting another, part-time job. So when time is slow, I can fill it up. And then when movie starts back up, I just would do that.
Oh wow. Yeah, dude. My first year too, to keep it short, that's how I felt. I was on a high. I was riding on a high. I'm like getting job after job after job. And then I remember January hit. And I'm
Yeah.
like looking for work and I'm like applying and I'm like looking at all the casting pages. And I'm like, what happened?
Okay, there are moments where stuff is not popping.
Yeah. There's yeah, if you're gonna do this full time, You got to know when the productions are going on a lot. You got to know when pilot season is. You got to know when they stop filming, when they take their breaks. You have to know all this stuff when you start being a full-time background. Do you think, in your opinion, that being a full-time background is doable, like to pay your bills, or do you think you have to complement it with something else?
It depends on what you need to how much money you need to live. I think because we don't make a whole ton of money, so if you have like a ton of bills, then yeah, you could still do full time, but you definitely would need like a something else on the side. But there's a lot of people who do extra who are retired, so they don't care about the money. And then, or other people who just like doing it, who maybe don't have as many bills, maybe don't have rent to pay, who maybe live with their parents, so it doesn't really matter, about the money.
Yeah, that's true. There's people who need this, like we do, and I do, especially me. And there's people who, yeah, they're either retired or they're just while they're looking for work, they're doing it or trying new things. I met people like I just want to try it out,
Yeah.
or people who really want to be actors, and this is how they're getting into the industry. Well, Luis, still speaking on extra work. Do you have? Oh, there's a number of studios that opened up in the Atlanta area.
Mhm.
Do you have a favorite one?
I mean, I don't know. I think I've worked in just about all of them at least once. Some of them are nicer than other ones, but I don't know, probably the ones that I'm the most fond of are the ones that are like closest to me because I just don't have to drive as far, especially in Atlanta traffic. So I would say like the one in Union City, it's pretty close, and actually Tyler Perry Studios is very close to me. So yeah, I was gonna say those are probably, and they're newer too, so they look pretty nice.
Yeah, I feel like Tyler Perry Studios is the most like complete. That's the only one I've seen that has built backlots. It has a White House, it has a fake neighborhood, fake hospital, fake everything. The other studios, even though they're big, they're just the space to build
Yeah.
the sound stages and all this. Yeah, did you like Pinewood Studios? Because that's the big one in Atlanta, Pinewood.
Pinewood is kind of close to me too. Yeah, Pinewood is really nice. I like Pinewood a lot.
Yeah, me and Luis worked on something we can't talk about yet. Trailer's not even out, but we worked there, what, was it 5 weeks?
I mean, it was a lot.
Yeah, it was a lot. 3 weeks of overnights.
Yeah, yeah, it was fun. I like Pinewood. Pinewood's nice.
Yeah, Pinewood's very nice. It's very big. The original Pinewood is in London, but they built their own Pinewood here in Atlanta, and it has been called the unofficial home of Marvel because ever since Captain America, uh, Civil War, every other Marvel movie, almost not every, but almost every other Marvel movie has been filmed here. So we are the unofficial. They don't want to call it the official home.
Yeah, I know because I know they shot both Ant-Man. I know they shot Captain America: Civil War. I know they shot both Avengers. Um,
Black
oh, they shot.
Panther.
Yeah, I actually worked a very, 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 very small role in Black Panther. It was actually one of my first gigs too. Well, not first, like one of the first 10. It was early on in my career.
You got a role in Black Panther? Like a small role, extra
Yeah,
role?
it was extra, but the scene got completely cut. But I got to see the director. I didn't get to see Black Panther, um, but I got to see the director, and yeah, our scene was completely cut, so I didn't get to see it at all.
Where was the scene?
We were Central American people who got hit by a disaster, and Black Panther was supposed to come like aid us. So I think it was supposed to be a scene near towards the end of the movie. When he says that they're gonna stop being like solitary and they're gonna start trying to help the world. I think that's when I was expecting our scene to pop up, but it didn't.
Well, for the people seeing this, that happens a lot. Scenes get cut all the time. Even if they take 2 or 3 days filming it, they cut it. If the director or the editors decide to do so. and that happens all the time, right, Luis?
Yeah. And that was in Tyler Perry studio. That was actually um, like at the beginning when they first started building Tyler Perry Studios. I'm talking about it was like maybe like 15-20% complete. Like now it's like done. But like when I was over there, like they have like 20 or 30 sound stages. Like only like two or three of them were built. That White House wasn't there. It was a lot of stuff that wasn't done. So this was like a while ago. It was like 3 years ago.
Yeah, dude. So I was gonna ask you, is there an extra that's your favorite extra as an extra that you have done or been on?
There's some pretty, some of them aren't as fun, but some of them are pretty fun. But I had a lot of fun being an extra on the movie Zombieland too. Um, so that was we were like hippies, and they made a really nice little area that we shot again like 2 weeks of overnights. Um, and just because especially when you get on a set and it's a lot of people and get along with, it like ends up just being a whole lot of fun. They had a bunch of like they had a hacky sack. They had like a little balancing board. They had um, cornhole games. So we would like when they were just like setting up shots, we were just like playing games.
Dude, that's awesome. Well, for the people that don't know, explain to them what an overnight is. Because, I mean, I know it kind of makes sense, but in shooting in the movie world, you have to shoot overnight if you want a dark scene, right?
So the scene we did was supposed to be at night. So when that happens, because for a day scene they need all the light that they can get, and filming takes 12 to 14 hours or whatever it does. So they need literally every second of light that they can get. So for an overnight, when it's a scene that's overnight and it takes 12 to 14 hours to shoot, they need every second of darkness of dark. So the only way to get that is to literally start as soon as the sun sets, and they can film all the way up until the sun rises. So overnights are literally what they sound like. You're literally working overnight, and then you get home at like 7, 8 in the morning.
Yeah, that's actually a perfect way to describe it. Yeah, because when you see a scene in a movie, even if it's 5 minutes that takes place at night, they take all night to shoot that. Let's say from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. And that's the times we have to be there, and our sleeping schedule gets all messed up, and our eating schedule gets all messed up, and we're eating lunch at 1 a.m., right?
Yep. And then you get home at 8 in the morning and have to try to get some sleep when there's sun, and you wake up at like 5 p.m. and it's like it's crazy.
Have you ever pulled the back-to-back overnight and day shoot?
Yes, I actually have. So I haven't done it a lot, but it was actually a combination of extra and stand-in. So what happened was, and this was pretty recent, I shot an overnight, and then that same casting company was like, we also have a role for you to stand in the next day. But they're like, obviously you're going to be doing an overnight, and then you're going to work during the day. So they're like, at first they didn't want to hire me, but I was like, I can do it. I can make sure I get, I was like, I can make sure I get a lot of sleep during that day, and then just wake up at night, go do the overnight. During lunch, I actually slept um, instead of eating, so I slept. And then when we got out of the overnight, I had like 2 or 3 hours because the next studio was actually very close to where we were filming. So I ended up like parking in a quick trip and slept another like 3 hours in my car. And then I got up, did a 14-hour day on as a stand-in.
Dude,
So
what?
and I didn't think that day was going to be as long as it was, but it ended up being like 14 hours. And then I remember because it was like actually the exact same day that Endgame came out. So after I got done with 14 hours, I went to the movie theater and watched Endgame for 3 more hours.
How did you stay awake?
Yeah, I definitely stayed awake. But yeah, when I got home after that, I got home at like 4 in the morning. So that was like maybe like 4.5 hours of actual full sleep and like over 24 hours.
Dude, I bet you slept like a baby, huh?
Definitely did. Definitely. I definitely did not book anything that next day after.
Oh man, I could not do that. I'm happy you did that. I could not do it. I don't have the will.
I don't recommend it.
Yeah, don't, if you have a long drive every day from set to set, I don't recommend it either. But I know of people that do it. That's why I asked you.
Some people are insomniacs, so I feel like they get through with very little sleep anyway. So they're like, it doesn't really matter. But I need my sleep. But I wasn't gonna turn down work at that point.
So, so yeah, because sometimes we get to be in holding for a long time and we get some rest.
Yeah, and that's another thing. So I thought that um, if we weren't shooting and we were in holding, I was like, I'm just gonna use that time to sleep.
Okay, Luis, ever since film got big in Atlanta, there's a lot of locations where they shoot that are becoming pretty big and people are visiting them. When I have a family member that comes from out of state, out of country, they beg me to take them there. The bridge from The Walking Dead, the Avengers place, their headquarters. Has that ever happened to you?
Um, no, surprisingly, no.
Or do you go yourself to these locations sometimes?
No, no, not really.
That's what I
I was gonna say
figured.
the Walking Dead bridge is I think it got famous because of The Walking Dead, but it's also a very popular photo spot. So I would go there sometimes when the sunset's looking really good, but also it's kind of a cliche cliche spot to the photographers.
When you're starting as a photographer, that's where you go, right? That's where you go, and then you
Yeah,
move up.
yeah, yeah. Because I've been in so many cool places, or like you'd be like, I might end up there if I get a job that I don't really need to, I don't really need to go to the places because I end up working it anyways.
Exactly. I feel like that's when we get to see these locations when we work in them. Like when I have a family member and they tell me like, "Oh, can you take me to that bridge or can we go see the Stranger Things mall?" That was the last thing I took somebody to. And I'm like, "It's a dead mall." So, talking about the mall, you were in Stranger Things season 3, correct?
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about how your experience was on that. Did you enjoy it? How was seeing everybody dressed in 80s attire? Tell me a little bit about how your experience on that show was.
Okay, so yeah, I thought it was a pretty fun experience. Um, they the first time we walked into the mall was like insane because it looked like so real, like the '80s. Like it was like locations did like an amazing job with setting up the whole thing. And so the first time I walked in, I was like, wow, this is absolutely amazing. Um, but same, we did like two weeks of um, work, two and then a couple reshoots. But I think like the main bulk we got done in like about 2 weeks. So by the end, I was like, okay, I'm actually used to this. um, but it was very cool. It was very cool seeing all the different clothes, and the girl's hair was like insane. So that's another one where it was like 400, 4 or 500 extras, and hair took forever because they had to do the girl's hairs like big, and that took forever. The guys not so much. I had to grow a mullet for them to accept me.
You grew it?
Never doing that again. I hated that mullet with a fiery passion. But when they saw the mullet, they were like, "Yeah, you can definitely work Stranger Things 3." And I was like, "I'll do it so I can be on there." But also, they kind of were about to start filming season 4 of Stranger Things before this stuff hit. And I was like, I'm not growing the mullet again. I'm not doing it again. So I was like, I probably won't work season 4, unfortunately.
Guys, that's why I can't be on Stranger Things. I always cut my hair and
The hair, everyone have a perm, mullets everywhere. Like I just grew my hair out. I just didn't cut it. And then when I got there, they trimmed me up a little in the front, but they kept the back like long. And I was like, I hate this thing. I turned it into a little like man bun because I would rather have. I don't like man buns either, but I was like, I'd rather have a little man bun than like have the mullet out where you could like see it coming out over here. I was like,
so if I recall, there were multiple days in that mall. Did you have to wear multiple outfits throughout the shooting?
yeah. So yeah, like I said, they filmed most of the scenes that happened in the mall, which happened throughout the whole season. So there were a bunch of different days. So they did make us change. But they would be like, yeah, just change like a top, bottom, because there were just so many people. They were just like, um, they were like, yeah, you don't have to change like everything because it would just take too long. But yeah, we had a couple costume changes.
And that's crazy that the hair requirements, the clothes requirements. I thought the way they made that mall look, and I'm gonna post pictures of what the mall looks before it got reimagined for Stranger Things, is nothing like you imagine it, right?
Yeah, and then while we were filming, there was definitely they had people from Netflix and from the production that had to keep people away because people would like come, people in the mall would come and like look at it and want to kind of go in there, and they had to like keep them out.
Oh wow! So did they come shopping or did they come to see the Stranger Things set?
So I think towards the beginning it was they didn't know what was going on and they just were like shopping and they just saw it. But as I think like towards the second or third week, people started figuring out what it was. So people did start coming because they knew it was Stranger Things. And I know like the first day I think that we filmed, one of the one of one of the media outlets here in Atlanta actually got a picture of some of the extras, and said that Stranger Things was filming, and it was so funny because when I saw that I was like, oh, that's cool. And then like I remember looking at that post, and then like maybe like 30 minutes later, like I look up and I saw the guy whose photo got taken, but it wasn't he didn't take the photo. He just happened to got caught, from like a journalist. But I was like, oh, hey, did you know that like you're on the news? And he was like, yeah, I saw that.
That's awesome, dude. That's funny. Yeah, because that is a public place. It's not a sound stage. They didn't build it just for the show. They just decorated it in the inside, correct?
That mall is pretty empty. So that part they took was a abandoned part of the mall, but the other half of the mall was still open, so people definitely could still come in and out. So they had to build like a perimeter, and keep people out.
I can imagine them being like rolling and people in the mall shopping like, what? Like, what's going on?
No, it happened the whole time we were there.
Oh my God, that's fun. Yeah, that's the thing about shooting in public places compared to, to like sound stages, right?
Yeah.
Does it ever kick in or do you ever feel like, wow, I'm part of one of the biggest shows or movies in the world? Do you ever feel that or is it just like a normal day of work for you?
So I remember thinking then when I was there, I was like, I'm not going to try to make this a big deal. But then after, so I never tried to get too close to a camera. So I think you can only see me during like one very small part. 'Cause I remember I saw me, but I wasn't very prominent at all. And then I was like, I feel like since this is such a big show, I maybe should have tried just a little bit, just a little more. But I was so indifferent. I was like, this is just work, whatever. I'm not trying to like be one of those annoying extras that wants to get on camera. But I mean, yeah, Stranger Things is a big deal, and if I could have been seen better in like a part of it, I probably should have taken the initiative a little bit.
So I'm one of the extras that tries not to be seen.
Yeah, because what seems to happen with that is that the more you try to be seen, the more that it seems like you don't get seen, if that makes sense. And then there's plenty of times where I've walked into a production and been like, I don't care if I get seen or not, and then they'll like put the camera like right in my face, and I'm like, oh, well, that just happened. Like I just, and it's like some extras will try to maneuver their ways into being in front of the camera, and then like it seems like the camera ends up moving or just not ever looking in their direction, and it's like the people who like aren't paying attention to that, they get seen. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, and do you think it's true that the more you're seen, the less they call you back to be other days on the show or movie?
So if you're too prominent, sometimes an AD will call the casting company and be like, "This person was definitely seen. You can't like hire them again."
Yeah, so yeah, it's cool to be seen, but at the same time, if you're not promised any more days on the show,
Yeah, you might lose out on work. Absolutely. If you're, I could work a show 10 times and never be seen, and that's 10 paychecks. Or if I get seen one time and I only work one time, that's just one paycheck. Yeah. So core background is pretty much when if they have a scene where they're in a location that has other people like extras in it, And they shoot there a lot, like because the show is based off of that location a lot. Um, they'll want to bring people back that are like extras, the same people, because like on the Residents, they work at a hospital, and it's the same hospital. So you would think that at a hospital, the same like generally the same people would be working there every day. Obviously, there's different shifts and people get fired and hired all the time, but you generally would have the same doctors working at the same hospital all the time. So you would be they would hire you to be a core background, and they call you a lot because anytime a scene is happening in that hospital, they'll be like, "Well, yeah, you work at that hospital, so you're gonna obviously naturally be there."
Yeah, exactly. That's perfect, man. If you're part of a big part of the show or big part of the movie, they're gonna use you a lot. So that's considered a core background. And yeah, you and me have been core background on multiple things, especially on the new project that we can't talk about yet until the trailer comes out. But we were core background, and I really enjoyed that. But it's good, man. It's good that you've been doing this. And do you have any plans in the future to continue? Do you want to act, or do you want to be behind the camera, or do you have any idea of what you might want to do in the future in the film industry?
I'm definitely so yeah. I'm a background actor, but I'm definitely not an actor.
Hmm.
So no, yeah, I don't want to ever really be like an actor. But I have working in the industry, I see all the jobs that get done behind the scenes. So there are some stuff that I've seen that would interest me to try. PAing would be like obvious ones, but you can PA in all different departments. So, you could be a PA background PA, or you could be a PA for like the art department, or there's so many people that do so many different jobs that you don't see, um, that I've seen that like interest me. But as of right now, I haven't. If something comes up, I would probably consider it. But I like doing background. I really like doing stand-in. So um,
Well, last thing before we get into stand-in work, I want to ask you: is there any funny story or something funny that you want to talk about that happened in any show or movie that you have been on? Any stories that you might want to tell on this show today?
there's a lot. It's. I don't know if I can think of anything specifically out of the top of my head, but we do have a lot of fun. There's a lot of cold nights. It does make it a lot more fun if you get to meet a lot of the people that like do this constantly, because having going on to a show and walking in there and seeing somebody that you love hanging out with, you're like, oh yeah, I get to work with you all day today. It makes it way more fun. So I've had like cold nights, and a lot of different memories, but it's mostly the good memories are with having sharing it with friends, pretty much.
Would you say a lot of your friends right now are either actors or background actors?
It's a section. Yeah, I would say the majority. I've met a lot of people.
Yeah, that's true, man. You meet a lot of interesting people, people who even come from other states, people who just want to try it out. Or I met a guy who told me that he did background back in the 80s and he wanted to try it out again to see how it was today. I'm like, that's crazy. You did it in the
Yeah.
80s and you're doing it now. Well, I'll tell you a quick funny story. Back in the day, I was a core on a show called Being Mary Jane.
Yes, I
Yeah.
remember. That was before my time, but yes.
So one of the main stars' family members came to visit, and they let her be in the shot, not as an actor, but as an extra, just for fun. And then she did it. They said, cut. Then she was like, oh, that was fun. And then she asked us, so what? Do you guys get paid like a couple $1,000 to do this? And we all started laughing. And she was like, what? What? We're like, try $8 an hour, because that's what we're getting. And just like her face of shock, like what? Yeah, I'm like, some people don't differentiate it from acting. They think, oh, you're in a movie, you're making a lot. No, we're making minimum wage. But I'll never forget that. She's like, oh, you guys are making a couple thousand. No, no, maybe for the month, but not for the day.
We would have crafty set up, and we'd all be working, and then and then like bombs would just like come out of nowhere and then start taking
Hmm.
food.
Right?
So, and then they would like blend into the scenes. I remember that. I remember seeing that happen, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is like hilarious." No one can tell that these guys aren't part of the production. Someone eventually was like, "Hey, these guys don't belong here," but it took them a while. They were just like getting as much stuff as they can get um, before they got caught.
Yeah, man, it's crazy when you shoot in the street, and they don't have what's called a lockup PA, which is supposed to lock up the scene, not let anybody get through. And sometimes people slip through the cracks. And one time on Ozark, we made a street in Atlanta. We made it into a Mexican street, and they were selling elotes and fake elotes and stuff like that. And this Mexican family, I'll never forget, they lined up to buy some elotes. And then they were like, "Oh, let me have two. Like, deme dos, por favor." And then the PAs and directors were like, "No, no, 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 get out of the scene." And they're like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know it was fake." And I felt so bad for them. There was nobody to tell them no. I understand too. They're gonna see elote stand in the middle of Atlanta. They're like, "Oh my God, it's an oasis. It's a miracle."
If you're Hispanic, like an elote, like you have to get it.
Oh yeah, if there's a paletero man, elote man, whatever, you gotta get it. And I'm Colombian, and I love elotes and all that stuff. If I see one, I jump in.
Exactly. So I don't blame them for wanting to be like, "Oh, for real? I gotta get me one," but they didn't know it was fake. Yeah.
Have you had any interactions with any like movie stars?
Sometimes I have like nothing crazy, but I do remember this one time on Cobra Kai. Um, we were sitting. This is just a nice little funny story. It's very
Yeah.
nothing too crazy, but we were. It was season one, and they were filming the scenes where they're having the karate tournament. So there was just a lot of we were just in the crowd for the karate tournament.
Yeah.
And I remember we were sitting waiting for them to do a shot or whatever, and then there was this girl and this guy, and they're like much younger. They were like 15, 16. And then the girl they were doing little patty cake with like that. And I remember like I was behind her and I was like, "Oh, I don't know how to do that." And she turned around and she was like, "I'll teach you." And I was like, "All right, yeah, sure, why not?"
Really?
So she taught me how to do the patty cake or whatever. And then I found out that she and the boy were like two of the main actors.
Oh wow. So you were just interacting, learning how to do patty cake.
Yeah, so I learned how to do patty cake from the actor.
Right here I have Kumail. He just, he won't leave me alone because he wants to talk about your standing work. So you've been standing on Black Lightning, Stuber, Life Size 2, The Walking Dead. How do you prefer standing to being an extra, or do you like him an equal amount, or you haven't been standing enough, to like it more? Tell me about that.
So yeah, I would say I definitely enjoy standing in. Well, sometimes you do some pretty interesting stuff on extra. So I'm not gonna lie, sometimes being an extra is pretty fun, but I really enjoy standing in. So yeah, if I could do that more, I would be more inclined to. I definitely prefer it more for multiple reasons. Um, and just at the top of my head, you get you get paid more. You get better crafty. You get better food. Most of the stuff that I've learned of what happens back behind the camera, I learned from standing in because you're literally so sometimes when you're an extra when they're setting up, you're definitely usually in holding, so you don't see sometimes what they're doing, but when you're standing in, you're right there. So I got to see what literally everyone does, what the producer does, what the director does, what all the lighting, all how long that takes, pretty much how everything works because you're actually part of the second team. You're part of the crew pretty much. So you have to be there. You get to interact. I got to talk to the actual directors and the actual producers and the DPs and and some of the sound guys. Like a lot of those people. That's how you actually get to meet people who might be able to get you a job that's not an extra because you're there, you're with them, you're part of the second team, you're part of the crew pretty much.
That's very cool, man. I like that. I like how you said that. Yeah, it's true. stand-ins get to see some things that extras don't, and they don't put the stand-ins next to the extras. They always have to be by your actor, correct?
Yes.
And so you were standing on a very funny movie that I just recently watched, Stuber. Tell us who you stood in for.
Yeah, I was Kumail's stand-in for that. Yes, that guy.
Oh man, how long were you a stand-in for Kumail on Stuber?
So I was a stand-in for Kumail for a little more than half of the production. Uh, I think they had just I think the person before me ended up getting fired, and then Rose called me and was like, "Yeah, like we kind of need you." We ended up. I think this was similar times when Stranger Things was filming, so she actually had to call. Well, first she was like, "I need you. Like, if you can, any day you can come in. I need you. Like, I." She didn't tell me that the guy was fired, but she was just like, "I need somebody right now." So I was like, "Okay, I'll definitely do that." And then one of the days I actually couldn't do because I was supposed to be on Stranger Things, and Rose ended up calling the other casting agent and was like, "Yeah, can I use this guy because I need him." So she ended up letting me off the hook because I was already booked for that, and I was like, yeah, I'd love to do that, and I ended up working like half the production pretty much. And I think at first they might have they were maybe test running me, but I didn't find out till like after, like a little bit after that. Apparently the director was like, "Yeah, we like this guy, so just keep bringing him back." So apparently, I did a good job.
Oh wow, so okay, I didn't know that's what had happened. So the first stand-in got fired, and you came in to replace him right away. I had no idea that that's what happened. And you know, Kumail, he's a good actor. Tell me, how did you get to interact with him at all?
I had a couple, um, maybe not as much as you would think, because sometimes stars go to their trailers and rehearse stuff, and you're busy, doing your stand-in stuff. But I got to talk to him. He's hilarious. Like even in real life, he's very funny. He's a very funny, nice guy. Um, but I don't know, not any crazy conversations. Just how what's up? How are you? I try not to talk to the actors too much unless they talk to me because want to seem like the person that's like trying to talk to them because they're famous.
No, right, I understand. You know, you're doing your job, he's doing his job as an actor, so you got to concentrate. I know sometimes you get a little break and they might say hello, but
Yeah,
that is
exactly.
awesome. I was gonna tell you, so sometimes some actors have their permanent stand-ins
Hmm.
that they go around with them from movie to movie. If you had the chance, would you be Kumail's full-time stand-in?
Absolutely, I would definitely do that if I could. If I ever had the opportunity to do that.
You saw he got ripped for Marvel, right?
He got insanely ripped. So I was gonna say I don't know if I'd be able to. I don't know if I'd have to like get as swole as he would have to for the role. But we're the same height, general complexion. He's a little darker than me. But during summer I get just about as dark as him. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, no, actually we're pretty similar. Same hair color. My hair's a little longer right now.
Yeah.
Um, on paper we're pretty similar. So that's how I got that.
No, that's good, man. But hey, you had to have that experience. And let me ask you something. Were you there for any of the action scenes? Because that movie has a lot of action. I know you didn't have to do the stunts, but did you get to be there the days that they had the action scenes?
When I started, they just started doing the vet scene, which is where the guys come in and start shooting, and shooting goes everywhere, and Kumail ends up throwing some some animal food
Some
and
cans, yes.
yeah, some cans. So that's literally like as soon as the first day I walked in, they're like, "Yeah, you're gonna be here, and then there's gonna be shooting, and you're gonna have to duck under this cover, and then you're gonna like pretend like you're throwing some cans." Like we didn't actually throw the cans, but they're like, "Just do your arm like this," because he throws it over the counter because they're ducking.
Do the
Uh,
motion, right?
yeah,
Do the motion.
exactly. And then I was there when obviously when they started actually filming, and all the squibs went off and all the explosions. So that was pretty cool, and I was like, oh, this is very interesting. Right, we got right to it.
So were you, Kumail, and the stunt double there?
Yes. I got to meet his stunt double. He was a really nice guy. I think his name was Richard. He was, yeah, his stunt double was Richard. So yeah, I got to meet both of them.
Yeah, that's that's very cool, man. And that I'm happy you got to be a part of that movie because not only was Kumail in it, but Dave Bautista. Did you get to even like say hello or interact at all with Bautista?
Yeah, he's super nice. Trying to think of, yeah, I talked to him. He was pretty fun, saying just general stuff. Um, but the last day of filming, he ended up giving, because it's funny because I wasn't paying all the way that much attention, but I used to be a WWE fan.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, I think I kind of remember. This was back when I was like 10 or 11, 12 years old.
Right.
I was like, I think I remember you from when you were a wrestler. So I was like, obviously trying to be the next Rock. So I think that's very cool with the transitioning from being a wrestler to an actor. But like I said, he was really nice. And the last day of filming, he actually ended up giving Kumail, the director of photography, and like one of the PAs, replica WWE belts.
What?
So yeah, so he was really nice. And then also, my friend Dustin was Dave Bautista's stand-in, and he also stood in when he was filming Avengers. So he gave Dustin like a really nice present for the end of filming. So I was like, this guy is like obviously like a super nice guy. And he got us like an ice cream truck that last day too.
He rented an ice cream truck for you guys?
Yeah, well, I think him and Kumail, but yeah.
That's so cool, man. So what was one of your favorite moments of standing in on Stuber?
So this is a good story. I love this one. And this is actually still probably the highlight of working in the movie industry. So again, this was near the end. I think it was like the last week at least. But we ended up. There was a scene in the movie where they're in the car and they get T-bone, they get hit, and the car flips. So when they were filming that, they actually brought in this machine called the rotisserie rig.
No way.
Yeah, they brought this machine called the rotisserie rig where they hooked up the car to the rig, and what the rig did was it spun the car. So they mounted the camera and all the equipment to the hood of the car, and then they literally rolled it, and then they literally spun the car to get that shot. But as a stand-in, I obviously had to be in there when they were setting up the camera and the lighting. And then they were like, "Hey, we're gonna test this rig. Do you want to be in here when that happens?" And I was like, "Yeah, absolutely." So they actually, we had the regular seatbelt, and they also had an extra seatbelt around our waist, like a one that isn't in regular cars. It was there to hold to extra for extra stability. So I ended up having like two seatbelts on, but yeah, uh, they flipped the car like two or three times, and it was so much fun to be in that car when it spun. It was like being in a roller coaster. It was so much fun. The first time they did it kind of slow, and I could just like feel me going like, oh my god, this is so cool. And then they sped it up a little faster afterwards. But I ended up the first time we did it, I ended up doing like a horror. I was like, I'm gonna pretend I'm Kumail for this scene. So I was like, oh my god, and it was like, and they're like, dude, you look horrified, and I was like, so then I did a good job. But no, I actually had fun. It was so much fun doing that.
Dude, that's crazy. That's Hollywood magic for you. I had no idea. I had no idea that's how they did that scene. When that car flips, I just thought it was a stunt. I thought they literally flipped the car over. I didn't know. I mean, they probably did from the outside, but on the inside, that's crazy. That's amazing.
Yeah, they didn't actually flip the car. Like they didn't like have it spin. They had it on a rig that was controlled, and we were in the soundstage inside. And then they just it literally like you know how a rotisserie chicken spins in the that's exactly why it was called that.
That's awesome. I like that story. I had no idea, man. Especially that they let you try that. Not the was the stunt double there at all or no?
No, that was me. They had me and Dustin, Dave Bautista, stand in, be in there for that, and they tested it like 3 times, and then Kumail went in there and like, I think they were like, okay, we got it. He got it first try. Um, they filmed him. They're like, yeah, this is good enough. So he only had to spin once, but I ended up having to spin 3 times.
So you guys were the guinea pigs. Like, oh, let's see if it works, right?
Pretty much, yeah. I'm glad it didn't go like bad.
Well, you had to save Kumail, right? If anything happened, you saved them. You would have saved them.
I had fun. It was fun. I've never been in something like that, so I was like, it kind of was a stunt.
That to me is a stunt. If you're upside down on anything, if they count falling on the floor a stunt, you did a stunt. You did a stunt, my friend. I was gonna say, so talking still about Stuber, did you have to run any lines with any other stand-ins or with an actor or anything like that?
No, I was gonna say for this one we actually didn't. It was just mostly actions. No, I actually didn't. But like I said, I had known about it, so I was ready in case they ever needed us to do that. But no, for this movie, and, it always depends on the production and the movie and the director and the producer. But no, they didn't. The only thing I had to really do was take my glasses off every time they were setting up the lighting. So I had to take those off just because he didn't wear glasses. But no lines. I got spared.
That's good, man. So I loved Stuber. I thought it was a good movie. It actually, in a way, it kind of helped me see the other side of things from the Uber side, how they always want to get the 5 stars, and then any little inconvenience will get them to be like, oh, 3 stars, 4 stars. And I thought that was awesome how they showed that, how they're like fighting to get good reviews. What did you think of the movie? What did you think about it as a whole?
I thought it was pretty funny. Like I said, when we were filming one of the days, we ended up getting a little bit of a preview. Like obviously it wasn't anywhere near done, but I think one of the directors or producer was like, "Oh, this is some of the filming stuff you've done so far." So when we were eating lunch, they showed us a couple clips we had already filmed, and it looked really funny. So I was like, "This is actually like going to be pretty funny." And then when I saw the movie, I was like, "This is fucking hilarious." I thought it was pretty funny, and then especially knowing all the people that worked it and being a part of it really really kind of made me like it more.
Oh my God. I never heard that happening before. They actually showed you a little preview of it?
Yeah, it was like clips. It was clips that had already been filmed that might have already been like post production, but they were not in the correct order, and they were not. And I think there might have been a little bit of bloopers too. um,
Right. Oh my God. That.
yeah, but he was just like, yeah, it's just so you guys can see all the good work you guys have been doing. Here's some of the clips. And obviously the movie wasn't anywhere near done yet, but we saw that and we were like, oh, look at that, we're doing a great job.
Oh man. Well, let me tell you, that movie, there's a scene, and you're gonna know what I'm talking about, when they go into the male strip club. And they kind of talk about the issue of, how they expose men to show themselves shirtless on movies and TV shows, how they have to look chiseled and show the six pack, and how even though they're making fun of it, they're really stating a problem when they need these stars to like look their best. And the guy, I forget his name, the actor that Kumail was talking to.
He's a guy from Shameless.
Yeah, the guy from Shameless, and how he's only allowed to drink or water, or he can't eat anything because he has to look his best.
Like only water, or no water 4 hours before the show.
There are movies, maybe like Marvel movies or other movies where they show the guy shirtless, that to get that look, they have to be dehydrated. They can't drink water, they can't drink anything to get that look. And they were talking about that problem in that movie. Even though they did it in a funny way, they were stating a problem that happens in Hollywood. And I read about Thor Ragnarok and Thor how Chris Hemsworth didn't want to be shirtless. He didn't like being shirtless. He talked about it openly,
Hmm.
and he talked about how he didn't like doing shirtless scenes. That he'd been training really hard, but to show that chiseled look, he had to pretty much be dehydrated, and that's already hard enough being on a movie or TV set for 12 to 13 hours, right?
I think they got that from it might have came from bodybuilding. I remember reading about that yeah, that chiseled look comes from actually from dehydration. So no, it doesn't matter how much like how chiseled, how pumped ripped you are, to get that very specific ultra defined chiseled look comes from dehydration. I mean, not like full dehydration, but like that day you can't have had any water.
Is there any other things from the movie that stood out to you when you watched it?
A funny thing is, so you know the scene where they he goes to see his daughter's art show.
Yes.
So that part was actually filmed near the beginning of filming.
Hmm.
Like I want to say like the first 2 weeks. And like I told you, I was more towards the end. So I ended up actually being an extra in that scene before I knew that I was gonna be a stand-in for the rest of the movie. So you can actually see me walking behind Dave Bautista and forgot the actress's name, but the actress that plays his daughter. You can see me like looking at art behind them. So I'm actually in the movie too.
So that is a very funny, that's a very cool thing. Cause so you were an extra, and then you ended up being his stand-in, right?
So that was filmed. That scene was filmed more towards the beginning, and that's before I had become a stand-in. So I thought it was funny that, and then like I want to say, like maybe 2 weeks after that, maybe around 2 weeks is when I got the call to be a stand-in for the rest of the thing.
Well, stuff like that happens all the time, right? In the movie industry, yeah, you might even end up in the same show or same movie in two different scenes. People just don't know because they don't pay attention to the extras. Man, but I thought it was a good movie. I'll tell you a quick little story that happened to me. The only thing I did on Stuber, at the beginning scene, when they go up to the bad guy's hotel room, the first guy, when they open the elevator and they shoot him, do you know what I'm talking about? A guy with like a jumpsuit and a beard?
Yeah, because they're in the elevator, right? And then as soon as the door opens, the guy starts shooting them.
Right. So they reshot some of those scenes, and they didn't have that actor to play as a dead body on the floor. So they called me in to be his body double. And the funniest thing, dude, they dressed me up. They gave me a fake beard. I'll post a picture. I have it. They gave me the whole jumpsuit just so they could see my feet. And they could have just gave me the sweatsuit, the sweatpants and the sneakers, and that's it. And then the funniest thing, Dave Bautista almost strips on my feet.
Hmm.
And then he sees me move. And I'm like, "Are you okay?" Because I almost stripped Dave Bautista. And he's like, "Oh my God, you're real? I thought you were a dummy." I was like, "No, no, I'm a person here. Don't step on me, please." And he laughed so hard. That goes through what you were saying. He is such a nice guy. He's like, "Are you okay, man? Are you doing good? You're doing great." Everybody on that production was great. They were making sure I was just a body on the floor, but they were making sure I was doing good. And I'll never forget that. That is really funny, man.
That's a funny story too.
All right, dude. Well, anything else you want to add on?
It's just, I mean, it was just a really cool experience. I really enjoyed it. I want to do more of it. Everyone on the crew was really nice. I'm gonna send you, but we took like a crew photo. But no, it was like meeting all the people was cool. I'm actually still really cool with some of the people. Like I remember like the set photographer, one of the PAs, the PA that was a background slash stand-in PA. We're still like really good friends because of that. And then one of the stand-ins for the girl, the blonde girl, the one that he,
Yeah.
yeah. So I'm also really cool with her. Yeah, I don't know. That's it. I had a lot of fun. The crew was very cool. It was such a fun experience to be a part of.
Well, thank you for all those stories, Luis, and thank you for joining us today, telling us your side of the story of being an extra and being a stand-in in all these movies and TV shows. It has been a blast talking to you and interviewing you. And that's all the time we have today. Thank you guys for tuning in.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for interviewing me. Like you said, I'm gonna be a regular host on the show. So this is not the last you'll hear of me. But thanks for interviewing me. For the people watching, make sure to follow us on YouTube and Apple Podcasts. And just like a very good Uber ride, make sure to give us 5 stars. Thanks.